Sorry, can you come again?
I was saying, do you want to walk us through your work history? In particular, what you did in each place you worked in, what tools you used, and what you achieved.
Okay, that's okay. I can do that. Um,
Okay.
do you have like questions to ask me, or I should just start by opening my resume and looking at it and walk you through all of the places?
I guess like maybe the highlights, like maybe two or three roles that you found like to be, I guess the highlights of your career, in your opinion, I suppose.
Okay, so I would say I started fully in 2018. That's when I started. I went into data science for the first time. 2018, I started with a boot camp where I learned the basics of Python up until advanced or intermediate, rather. Then at that same 2018, I became an assistant tutor with Coven Works, where when I train people from all walks of life on Python for data science up until the machine learning level. Then I became the um, like the program lead for the female division there in Coven Works. Then I started self-developing myself a bit. Then I got into boot camps like Data Science Nigeria in 2018, 2019 rather. Also, I was part of the first Microsoft Leap program in 2019 when they came to Nigeria for the first time. Then I started working for the government here in Edo State. Where I train people on cloud computing using Amazon Web Services. Amazon has a partnership with the government. So that is when they brought me in. I am still an undergrad in the University of Benin studying computer science. I also am a technical advisor for Utiva. And what I do there is they talk to me about like um their programs. First, we started with the data science program where I train just their participants up until machine learning level. And also, I think they're about to start a cloud program too. So since I'm an advisor, I had to have a meeting with them to talk to them, walk them through the process. Yes.
Okay, thanks for that. I'm keen to know a bit more about your goals and career objectives. So what is your next ideal I guess role? Do you want to be a contractor? Are you looking for like full-time roles? And what is the salary range you're looking for roughly, like ideally in the next position?
Okay, so for now, I am still an undergrad, like I said earlier. So I am supposed to be done in July or at most because of the way Nigeria is August. So I want to get contract jobs mostly for now. Up until when I am done, then I can start looking for like a full-time role. I want to be a data scientist and grow and become like more proficient than I am right now in the field. Then my salary range. For now, I earn roughly about 250. Yes, so I I think if I'm going to try something else or go into another field, I have to earn like about the amount or a bit more.
Okay, that sounds fair. Are there any particular tasks you would ideally want in your next role? For example, do you want to focus more on building machine learning models? Are you more interested in building dashboards? Are there particular tasks you're more keen on working on in particular?
So my next role, I will love to work with data in not in the machine learning aspects, in the analysis aspects. I would like to work with big data and get meaningful information from them for the company. And yes, I also know about data science because I trade there and I do a lot, but I want to just I prefer the visual part of being a data analyst. I prefer the visual part, so I think I would tilt mostly towards that part.
Okay. Are there any particular environments you prefer working for? Are you comfortable working remotely? Yeah, are you comfortable working remotely? Do you prefer in-house roles?
I'm very comfortable working remotely. Very comfortable.
Okay, and you start. Okay, you can start now if you want to. Hello, Opeyemi?
Okay.
Okay.
The I think one of the most interesting places. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thanks.
Okay. So I said that one of the most interesting places or contract job that I got that was really interesting. I really cannot really divulge a name because of the whole contract I signed, but I can tell you a bit about it. So it is a startup for a medical line where they're trying to help ladies. They're trying to predict certain things in pregnant women. So I was contracted for the data aspects and also the visualization aspects too. Now the problem is that all of these people were educationists and they needed to get their data out of PDFs and not even, I wasn't given any kind of CSV or Excel sheet. They didn't want to script it from anywhere. They wanted it from their PDFs and they had books already, like books that they had bought and the books had like the data inside of it. So at first, I wanted to tell them no, that I couldn't do it because I wasn't at that point. I couldn't extract data from PDFs. I didn't have any understanding of that. I knew every other aspect I needed to do, but just extracting data was issue. Then I now had to learn how to use Power BI to extract data from PDFs. So at that point, it was new. It was new because I'd never tried it before. I had to extract data from over about 300 at 300 books. And after extracting those data, I had to rearrange them in tabular forms, then save them back as CSV. It got to a point where I encountered a problem where the data was rearranging itself, but and also I needed to remove some rows from the middle of the tables. And the way Power BI works is that you can only really remove rows from the beginning and the top. If you want to remove from the middle, it is complicated. The only other way there, it's not something that can help you achieve what you want. So after all my research, I even had to talk to the MVP, the youngest Power BI MVP in Nigeria to help out. It was a problem. At the end of the day, I figured it out and I was able to extract the data for them. And I think I extracted like about 1,000 because they had like different tables inside those PDFs. So I extracted like 1,000, saved them as CSV files, then I had to merge them so that they can get the information that they needed for their startup. Then I was able to deliver. I think that's like one of my most taxing jobs when it comes to extracting data, getting data, and helping them get information out of it.
Okay. Beyond the extraction of I guess data from PDFs, what is the biggest challenge you encountered with this particular project? Just beyond just data collection, data extraction rather.
Um, that was the biggest challenge because every other thing went smoothly. It was just extracting the data and figuring out how to even arrange them after even extracting them. I decided I was going to write an article because the article is there's nothing like that out there right now, so I'm still working on that. But that was like my biggest challenge.
Okay. And what is the, I guess, like the end result? Like, what is the impact of the work that you did for the company you're working with? What is the impact for them?
Okay, so before they were pursuing like a how do I put it now? They're trying to get investors due to the data that they needed from the textbooks. They were trying to get investors. So they needed that data to show, because of course, if you're going to buy into anybody's ideas, then you need to show them something. So because of the data that I was able to extract, they were able to actually get the deal that they were working on.
Okay. Sounds pretty good. Do you have any follow-up questions, Stephen, that you want to ask at this point?
Okay, so this is the first time, my first time grading post. I do not know what after this is. It's a process. I think this point, then the next step is what I really don't know what is after now.
Okay. The next step is we just assess the submission you made so far, so your CV and your past projects that you submitted on the platform. We review this recording too, and then we either accept, if you accept it on the platform, we kind of we're gonna, like, I guess, edit this video to kind of like only show the presentation of the project on your profile. It's gonna be available for employers to see and to listen to, rather. So it's either we accept or reject the profile after this call, basically. Does that clarify things on your end?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Cool.
Any follow-up question? Yeah, I don't have any follow-up question. Well, okay. I think you basically mentioned that that's the actual value of the project, because that's like one of the most important things. So yeah. But before now, have you worked on like visualization tasks? I see that you also have worked. You've served as, or you're serving as a data science tutor at a state agency. Sorry, as a cloud computing tutor. So have you done any work? What's the work around cloud computing you've done, or?
Okay, so what we actually do as technical trainers here is mostly theoretical, a little bit of practical. Before here, I was already like comfortable with GCP, working with instances and creating subnets. I was already comfortable with that. So GCP is like a more stronger suit for me. But because of the let's say the contract that the government has with Amazon, that's why we're using Amazon Web Services. So we mostly teach theoretical aspects, yes, and a little bit of practical. And the practicals are not like where I'll be using maybe Terraform on AWS. No, it is like the beginning part for them to find their way into wherever they want to belong. If they think that they want to work with the script bash, or they want to be a data scientist, but they're using the cloud for it. So it's like helping them find their pathway into the tech world in cloud.
All right, thanks.
So moving back to data visualization, I'm keen to know how you go about determining which particular chart to use to best answer a business question. How do you make a decision? What do you consider when making the decision?
Okay, so earlier, like when I started, I preferred using a lot of colors, and I used to think the brighter the colors or the more the colors, the more interesting it was. But I didn't put into consideration the fact that a couple of people may be colorblind, and a couple of people might not understand that chart. So I decided to stick with charts that people understand. People understand things like a pie charts. People understand things like histograms, line charts. They want to see that there is a growth and there is like a coming down somewhere. So I use all of those type of charts that are understandable to because at the end of the goal is for the company or the people making decisions to see and understand what is happening with the company. So if I'm unable to pass that across because I'm trying to do some fancy visualization, I have failed as a data scientist or a data analyst rather. So I always tilt towards using understandable charts so that it helps them understand how the money is growing or how a particular product is getting better in the market.
Okay, so beyond that, is there any particular process you follow to better tailor dashboards to stakeholder needs?
Sorry?
So beyond like choosing what you think is the most understandable chart to answer a question, is there any particular process you follow to better tailor your dashboards to stakeholder needs? So, for example, how do you get? Yeah, sorry, yeah.
No, continue, please.
I was gonna ask, for example, how do you factor in stakeholder feedback to better optimize the dashboard to kind of suit their needs? Like, what do you do to kind of like, yeah.
Okay, so I think the first thing I do is ask questions like, what kind of answers do you want to get from this data? So if they've given me the kind of answers that they want to get from the data, I'm able to use that and tailor that into whatever visualization I want to use. And probably if I see something interesting along the line too, I also add that to the dashboard. But also, if during the process of maybe presenting and they see that, okay, what they have asked for plus the extra one that I have added was not enough, they could bring up things like, oh, why didn't you just add this extra thing to it? So I think I take it back and work on that so that I'm able to give them back an answer.
Okay, and do you prefer the process where you first build a dashboard to its completion and then you give it to your stakeholder to get feedback from them, or do you build it in like bits and pieces? For example, you build a particular chart, then you kind of like get their feedback at that point to see if you're on the right track. What's your preferred process of working with stakeholders when it comes to building dashboards?
So it depends on the company and the stakeholders. Personally, I would prefer that I am giving like a guideline towards what they want. But if their stakeholders are very busy and they actually don't know what they want, they just want to see what is happening with their data, I will sit down and figure out whatever I need to do. And I have to also most times I have to find domain experts in those field or whatever kind of data, because I've worked with medical data and finance data. I'm not a medical person and I did not study anything that had to do with finance in school. So I always make sure that I look for like domain experts that they're going to put me through so that I know, okay, I'm on the right path, and what they think that investors wants to see that are financial, that is either for the financial aspect or for the medical aspect.
Okay, just following on that point, assuming like to your point, some people just don't know what they want. How do you go about just getting clarification regarding their actual, like what they're actually looking for? What type of questions do you ask to get better clarity of what their actual requirements are?
Okay, so ask questions like, if it is like a medical data now, probably they're trying to see that maybe like an NGO that work with cancer. For example, I worked with an NGO that they work with cancer. So now the data I was given were distributed amongst I think there is the gender, there is the age, there is the um type of settlement, and we now have other data that are inside of it. So due to the data that is there now, I sit down and I make research on the type of maybe, let's say, ailments that is inside each columns in the data set. I sit down and I check through them. Then I ask a domain expert as usual. With that, I'm able to like get a clearer picture and know what to visualize so that I can send back to the stakeholders.
Okay, so beyond Power BI, are there any other BI tools, database tools you're comfortable using or you've used in like prior experiences or prior projects?
Oh, so I am okay. So I've used Tableau, then Python itself. So a lot of times I tell people that most times when I'm working with the project, I use the three at once, because as much as I want to deliver a project, there's some projects that actually need the time delivery to be really fast. And yes, I can do most of these things in Python, but I can even do it faster in Power BI. So if I have taken data and I need to do some cleanings I know that I cannot do in Power BI, I take the data to Python, do the cleaning, put them back in Power BI. Then I'm able to, especially time, whenever I want to work with time, Power BI is really great when you're working with time. So with dates and time. So I put the data back and I use Power BI to work on the dates and time. So to get our visualizations, and also Tableau. So it depends on the type of problems I'm trying to solve. That depends on the tools I use.
Okay, that makes sense. So I'm guessing you said to your point, you use Python when there's some data cleaning required, and then you use Power BI just if you want to get a quick dashboard out there. I'm keen to know in what scenarios you kind of determine whether or not to use Power BI versus Tableau. Is there like a particular preference here between Power BI and Tableau, or do you kind of like tailor what you use depending on your stakeholders' needs?
Okay, so I think I tailor it to my stakeholder needs. Actually, if my stakeholders they want to see dashboard, I mostly use a Power BI. I mostly use Power BI for that. If I just want to like a presentation where I'm just going to show them, maybe I'll talk a little bit about what my findings were inside the data set. I'll use Tableau, because with Tableau I can just do what I need to do, then get the image out, then put them inside my slides.
Okay, so another feature of Tableau is like being able to like use SQL to sometimes clean up data to an extent. I'm curious to know a bit more about your experience of how comfortable you are with SQL in general.
Okay, so with SQL, I won't say I'm very proficient with it. I am stronger with the rest, and this is because of the fact that most of the people that I work with, they already have existing data. So I know like beginning, let's say the beginner part or beginner path of SQL. I really have not gotten to the intermediate level, because most times whenever I get data, whenever I need data, I am given the data to work with, not necessarily needed to fetch out the data. So I know how to use it, but not totally proficient. But this is something that is easy to work with.
Okay, but beginner parts, you mean what exactly? You mean like selecting data? You mean like joins? Like what do you mean by the beginner parts? Just clarify.
Like selecting data from maybe tables and joining them, getting just colon from it, like the beginner part.
Okay, got you. I think that pretty much sums up the questions that I had. Thank you.